On this episode, I got the opportunity to sit down with William Cabrera, founder and CEO of the Resource and Recreation Center and owner of Billy's Barbershop. In addition, Billy has become a navigator and a motivational public speaker. Hey, what's up, peeps? Y de lo mío, sit down and take a seat. You know what I'm saying? Lawrence and beyond. What's going on? With me today, wait, if I can get into that, I always do this. Your host, Majimbe, cameraman Brandon, shout outs off the bat. But we got a special guest with me today, and it's Billy Cabrera. Like, what's good, Billy, man?
What's good, Poppy? What's going on?
What's poppin', bro? We finally made this happen, man. You're a busy guy. You know, you do into a lot of avenues. You know, you inspire me so much, man. Like, you know, how this, what crafted that in your foundation to become the person you are today? Like, because your story is a long one. Your story is an adventurous one.
It's a long story, Papa. It's a long story, man. It all began a long time ago. You know what I mean? I'm originally from New York. At a very early age, I got physically removed from New York and I got brought to a small city called Lawrence. And I got introduced to my grandmother, and from there, you know, it all took off, man. All in the bad direction.
And you said you started in New York, but I heard that you were from Lawrence. How long did you live in Lawrence?
Yeah, I lived in Lawrence all my life. I was born in New York, and then at a very early age, I got physically removed due to some circumstances that took place in New York. You know, you know, my mom at an early age, she got deported back to her country, back to Dominican Republic. You know, my father, you know, continued to participate in behaviors that forced my aunt to like physically remove me from that situation, and that's how, you know, I ended up in the city of Lawrence with my grandmother that used to reside in Lawrence at a very early age. So when people ask me, yo, where you from? I say, absolutely, I say Lawrence. You know, New England captured my heart, you know, as soon as I came from New York.
And your grandmother is obviously very important to you. I can't imagine how she held it down. You know, she crafted an amazing individual. And I remember that there was this beautiful story you told me, man, that, you know, you didn't get the message. You thought it was too late, but I felt like it's never too, you know, it wasn't too late. Can you please
No, it's never too late. And the story that I was telling you is because when I got physically removed from New York, right, and I came to the city of Lawrence, I got introduced to my grandmother, you know. But before coming to, like, you know, Lawrence, I was very angry. I was like, I ran with a whole lot of anger. I didn't know what was going on in my life. Nobody took the time to explain to me that my mother just got deported, you know. So they always kept me in the dark. So I was always wondering, you know, why am I getting physically removed? Why is my aunt taking me from, you know, where I know best? So when I came to the city of Lawrence, I didn't come down here like, you know,
happy,
joyous and free.
You were just angry. You
know, I was very angry. You know, I held a whole lot of anger, you know, and a lot of aggression within my heart. You know, not realizing that, you know, it was having an impact in those that were trying to like show me love, and that was my grandmother. You know, I remember when I first came out here, you know, and I remember it like if it was yesterday. You know, I came to the Hancock Projects, that's where I grew up, and what happened was that, you know, I was crying and I was angry, and I was like asking my grandmother, but where's Titi at? You know, and she was like, she's gone.
Yeah, she didn't want to get into it. You know how that's how family is.
Ella ni quería hablar de eso. You know, she was just like talking about, she's gone and you're gonna stay here. And I remember when she said those words to me, like tears came down my eyes, because once again, like the people that I knew were disappearing in my life. And here I am, basically, yeah, she was my grandmother, but to me, she was a stranger.
Yeah,
because I really didn't know her. And I remember her running into the kitchen, and she made this avena, you know, she made this, you know,
farina or
una farina, and she put some cinnamon in it, you know, and like she told me, ven mi hijo, ven para la cocina, and like she put this bowl of cream and wheat in front of me, and like I took that to the face, and I remember You know, that taste.
That homey taste.
That home taste. And not only that, but it filled something inside of me. You know, because I was feeling empty. And it wasn't because I was hungry. It was something that I was missing inside. And it was comfort and love. You know? And I remember taking that to the face, like bam bam bam. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It was good. And she patted me on the shoulder and she was like, Mijo, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay, you know? And shortly after that, you know, she introduced me to the school system. You know, I went to the Hennessy school, and I remember going to the Hennessy. And it was, you know, it was amazing to me because that's what I wanted it to do. I wanted it to go to school, you know, but I was different. I was a little different, you know. I was that kid that couldn't sit still. I was that kid that always was bouncing around, you know. And I remember being excited because I was going to go into the classroom, and we were passing through each door, and I wasn't going, and I wasn't going inside the rooms, and I was like, yo, but what's the deal, you know? And all of a sudden they brought me to this room, and it was this back room, and they opened the door, and there was 4 kids in it, and everybody was jumping around inside this class, and I was like, yo, but what's up, you know? And they was like, no, this is your class, you know? I didn't understand. I know today what that was. I went to a special ed room. I went to the special needs room. I went to a room that were kids that were troubled. I went to a room that kids were a little bit different. Kids that couldn't sit still. Kids that were always acting up. So I found myself in this room, and I was pissed off. That was
You're like, what is all this, bro? I'm calm.
What's going down, and like I felt my blood racing through my veins, and I was angry, my man. I was angry because we had this window, right, and we were looking out. Y todo el mundo está in the recess. Everybody's in recess and everybody's playing handball. Everybody's running around. And like I was inside that window with the 3 other dudes, and we're looking out that window, and it was special. You know, we were special. We were different. You know, I went to a different recess. I went to a different gym time. I went to a different time in the cafeteria.
Made you feel separated from like the norm, man.
Yeah, it was like, yo, but okay. You know? I was like, yo, what's going down? And shortly after that, I remember one day, you know, and there was the teacher that was there. She was talking about, yo, you guys get ready. We're gonna go out to recess, and I got excited because I thought I was gonna
see other kids.
I'm gonna see everybody else, and the bell rang. You know what I mean? And all the kids lined up. You know what I mean? All the kids filed in single order to go back inside the building. Right. And shortly after that, the second bell rang. And our doors opened, and we went outside. And I ran out down the hallway to go outside. When I went out there,
it was just you guys.
It was just me. And the 3 other dudes that were with me. Yeah, hermano, I was pissed off.
Yo.
I was mad.
That's a bad introduction to school right there, man.
Yo, my dude, I was mad. I was mad, you know, and more anger was growing within inside of me. And I didn't know how to control that. I didn't know how to channel that. I didn't know how to deal with emotions and feelings that were running through my veins. And I remember looking up to the windows, and all the kids were laughing and pointing, and was like, oh, there goes the wee guys, you know what I mean? And I was getting ripped, and I was getting heated, you know what I mean? And I was like swearing. No, que cuando yo te coja acá abajo, yo te voy a partir. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna break you. That's what, because rage was running through my veins. You know what I mean? And people would laugh, and people would like, call us names and stuff like that. And I felt a little bit like
that's a form of bullying right now. Like
in today's society, yeah, that's what that was. That's what that was, you know? And I'm going to speed it up a little bit. And I remember, you know, when the bell rang at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Y todo el mundo bajaba you know, everybody came down from the projects, you know, from the Hancocks, you know, the moms and the dads, and they were all beautiful young people, you know what I mean? And we always filing out to go outside because all the parents was coming to pick everybody up. And I remember my grandmother coming down, Y ella tenía una bata.
Yeah.
Right? Una bata, right? She had this like suit coat, right? That she never took off, man. God bless her. Esa señora, man, like, donde quiera que fue tenía esa bata. You know what I mean? Like, she had this, like, yo, she went to Market Basket, she went to Woodworth, she went to Z's, she went to Stewart's, all in this bata, you know?
Chilling.
And I remember her coming down from the hill with all the fathers and all the mothers, and I seen her, and I started experiencing a different emotion. I started experiencing this thing called embarrassment, you know?
Yeah.
You know? And I was embarrassed of my grandmother, and I became a runner. I didn't want people to see me with my grandmother. And I remember running, and I remember running, and I remember running, you know? And I remember my grandmother llamándome, oye Billy, tú viste a Billy. Y yo me escondía porque estaba bochornado. You know what I mean? I didn't want people to see me with this little old lady. This little old lady tried to do the best she could with what she had. She didn't have, you know, the understanding what was going on inside of me. And shortly after that, I started myself hanging around with people that were living sort of like the lifestyle that I was living, and that was in the streets. You know what I mean? So I started seeing the older guys drinking 40s, you know what I mean, smoking blunts. So that's what I did, because I wanted it to be a part of something. I wanted it to be a part of something, you know? I felt always like if I was being left out, you know? And I wanted to be, you know, I wanted to be a part of something that I never had. And in the streets, I started drinking, and I remember taking my first drink and escaping from what was going on inside my mind. And then shortly after that, I loved it. I loved it because I could escape from reality. You know, it stopped the emotions and feelings that were running through my vein. That's what I did. So the more I started to experience with alcohol and drugs, the more I did it. The more I did it. And I remember my grandmother always trying to, like, you know, find ways and means to, like, you know, console me or tell me, mi hijo, tú no puedes estar en la calle así, que si esto y lo otro, you know? It was just like I couldn't hear nothing that was going on.
Because that side always showed you some form of positivity to the hell you thought you were in, you know? It's like,
you know, shortly after that, I started participating in behaviors that society found it fit to physically remove me from. And shortly after that, I started going to foster homes. From foster homes, I went to juvenile facilities. I started getting locked up, you know. When I became of age, they put me in Lawrence House Correction, you know. Shortly after that, I continued doing the same things over and over and over again, not realizing that I was living in straight darkness. And I gave the state 17 years of my life.
wow. So you've been tied for 17 years?
17 years going in and out of the prison system, going out to every single facility in the state of Massachusetts. That's what I did. That was my life. That's what I was all about, you know? And, you know, it's something that, you know, I have nothing to be, you know, proud about, nothing to brag about, you know what I'm trying to say? But I did some things that were, you know what I mean, that society found it fit that they had to incarcerate me, they had to cage me from inflicting harm, not only on myself, but upon other people. I was a shitbag, dude. I was that dude. I was that dude that you didn't want to be with. I was that dude that when I walked down the street, you walked on the other side. And it wasn't because, you know, I was just practicing in behaviors that in today's society is not accepted, you know, and it shouldn't be accepted, you know, and it took a long time for me to come to the realization that I needed to do something different.
And like, when was that it took you? You know, what was that time where you finally said, okay, I did my time, I think I want to do something different? Was it when you were doing your time, or was it after you got out of the whole prison system?
No, hermanito, it didn't happen like that, you know. Unfortunately, it didn't happen like that. I remember being locked up and, you know, while I was incarcerated, I found myself reading books and reading magazines and hearing other people talk about different things that they were doing when they were out in the community, like going out to movies and going dating and doing those type of things. And what happened was that when I found myself locked up, I wanted to do those things. I wanted it to like go to the movies. I wanted it to experience more in life than what I was experiencing. So one day I got released and they let me out to the community. So I started remembering the things that I used to hear. So I started doing this thing called dating. And I found this girl and she was like, yo, my dude, like, well, she didn't say like, and I found her attractive and I found the courage inside to say, hey, would you like to go on a date? And like, I was kind of shocked when she was like, sure, And one thing led to another, and I did this thing called dating. We went to the movies, and she started just like, talking with me and sharing with me her vision. And I started living life through her eyes because I was fascinated. I was fascinated.
Yo, I'm out here. I
was fascinated.
Went to the movies. I was like,
I was feeling it, and I was feeling it. I was feeling her vibe. And she was sharing things with me that I only had read about in books. She was sharing things with me that I might have heard by through my peers that I found myself locked up with. And here I am, experiencing that. And one thing led to another. One thing led to another. And, with time, she produced my seed.
Oh, that was way.
And that was when one of my kids was born. Entiende?
Wow.
So I remember when I was just like the first time that I laid eyes on one of my kids. You know what I'm trying to say? It was the most purest thing that I ever held in my life. The most purest thing that I ever held in my life. And I wanted to do something different. And I came to these crossroads in life where I wanted to do something different. I didn't want any of my kids or my seed to experience anything that I was experiencing. So I started doing this thing and I started applying for jobs and I started doing this thing called working. I wasn't used to that. So I got myself this job and all of a sudden like I got this thing in the mail called bills, you know what I mean? And I was like, getting overwhelmed. Shorty was getting overwhelmed talking about, yo, que si la luz se van a pagar, que tenemos que pagar esto, que si lo otro. And like I went back into my survival instincts. I was experiencing like, emotions and feelings that, what do you mean?
Right, that confusion,
No, it wasn't so much confusion. It was just that I didn't know how to process, an overwhelming feeling and emotion, and I'm gonna keep it raw and I'm gonna keep it simple. And a whole lot of people might think that this may sound ridiculous, but the simplest thing, like the lights, you know what I mean, was disturbing my peace. Because I was hearing her, yo, if we don't pay that bill, the light is gonna go off. You know what I mean? And I started focusing on that. And I didn't want the lights to go out. I didn't want the lights to go out, I lived in darkness all my life. And I didn't want the lights to go off. And by all means necessary, I kept those fucking lights on. And I went out there and I started practicing the behaviors that I didn't want to practice, only to keep that light on. And what happened was that society said, no, and physically removed me and put me back in prison. And for the first time in my life, I started experiencing this thing called missing. I was missing my kids. I was missing, and I was inflicting what was inflicted on me onto my kids. And that destroyed me. That literally destroyed me. So I started gathering information. I started gathering resources. And I started trying to apply certain principles into my life. And I started detaching myself from a crazy way of thinking. And what happened was that I got released again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mind you, that when I was inside prison, you know, I used to cut hair, you know, because it was an opportunity that I had because none of us went to a barbershop. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So I found myself in the blocks. I started cutting razors and grabbing a comb, and I had big support because everybody that was around me wasn't going anywhere special, so they allowed me to cut their hair. You know what I mean? And they showed me unconditional love, even though I was jacking them up. They still returned back, and I was like, "Coño, espérate," you know. And I kept doing that, and for some reason, you know, when I found myself cutting somebody's hair and seeing somebody smile, that made me smile. That made me smile inside, you know. And I found something inside of me, and that was passion.
Hey,
Check that out. That was
bad.
passion. So I found myself when I returned back into the community, I wanted it to do it on a different level. And I put myself through school. And I went to school, you know, despite the fact that I was troubled, despite the fact that, I had to apply myself in certain ways. I got rid of ignorance, and I started applying myself with the information that I've gathered throughout the years, and I started applying it into my life.
Yeah.
And I started showing up to life. I started showing up to life. Shortly after that, you know, I graduated from barbering school. I got this thing called a license, you know, and I was excited.
Yeah.
I got myself working at a barbershop, you know, and
How many years did you work as a barbershop before you got your own?
5 years.
5 years?
5 years I was working out out at a different location, and I found myself wanting something more. But before I get into that portion of it, you know, I started like inspiring, you know, my brothers and my sisters, those that were struggling, those that were out there, you know, because they continued to support me despite the fact that, the things that have happened, you know, despite the fact that, you know, they were struggling and they were still out in the streets. They still supported me because they'll get like $5 or $10 and they'll come to the shop and they'll ask me, "Yo, Billy, can you give me a cut?" And like something was happening, you know, because people started asking me, my brothers and my sisters were asking me, "Yo, Billy, damn, you look good, hermanito, tú te ves bien." And they started asking me, "Man, yo, I want to do the same." And I started sharing with these individuals the information that I gathered, and I started like, you know, trying to advocate for them or try to give them literature to, like, you know what I mean, get better.
Yeah.
You know, they asked me, "How you do it?" I want to do that, you know, and I started passing out literature. And something happened inside that barbershop. Something happened in that barbershop and where a vision within my mind started growing. And I wanted something different. And I started working real hard. And I started sharing my story with people. I started exposing the disease of addiction.
And you started seeing how that influences everybody around you, right?
Exactly. And so what happened was that I was given, you know, I was blessed to like save up a little bit of money, and I opened up my shop. And I wanted it to custom it to a place that was welcoming. I wanted it to custom it where it was a place of hope. You know what I mean? So when I opened up my business, like I went from a little box of passing out literature to a huge room like this that you find ourselves in right now.
Yeah. But so I see the barbershop here, but your resource center, where is it? Is it the second floor? Because I remember I went up there the last time I was here.
Second floor. In the beginning, when I first opened up my shop, this whole room here was a resource center. This is where I held all my literature. I continue to hold my literature here. I continue to pass out information to enhance the quality of life. And then as time kept evolving, what happened was that I gained a little bit of space. And that space was upstairs. And I was given the opportunity to take over the space upstairs. So I converted the whole upstairs to a drop-in center, and I created a mentorship program.
Wow. And what type of people come up there?
People that come to, I work with people from all different walks of life. Not everybody that comes in here is struggling. Not everybody out that comes to my shop is like, caught up in the, grips of addiction. You know what I mean? But everybody knows of somebody that's caught up in the grips of addiction.
Exactly.
So word out of mouth, people started hearing about what it is that I do, and the people that have a tendency that come to the program is those that are struggling, or those that might want to continue on the path that they are, which is recovery. And that's why I created, and that's why I believe in mentorship. One peer, one brother helping another. This is how this works. If I can, you can. If you can, I can. You inspire me, by doing what you do. You know what I mean? You got into the business of podcasting. You got into the business of bringing awareness. You got into the business to hear the voices that those that are not being heard.
Exactly.
That inspires me.
Yeah, man. It's just, thanks, bro. It's just like, I know so many people from so many different walks of life. For example, Bugsy's a good friend of mine. You look at our age gap, but he introduced me to you. I'm like, what? I heard your whole story. It was very motivational, and this is what I like to do. And I thank you. I'm deeply humbled for your response.
Man, I'm humbled. I'm humbled that you took your Sunday afternoon to come here to hear about what's taking place here. Because this is a place of hope, and I feel that everybody out there should have the information of what's taking place here. You know what I mean? Sorry about that. I'm glad that Bugsy, I love Bugsy. You know what I mean? Canal's Gym, that's where it's at. Canal's Gym. I know Bugsy, we grew up together. He knows my struggle, I know his struggle. And along the way, he has inspired me. To come from where we come from and started doing something, that's so unselfish of him, to give back to the community, to give people in Lawrence a place of hope, for the kids to go over and
get
build
active and passion.
Get active with the boxing, whether it's just having a conversation with Bugsy or with Bugsy's staff that's there. That's huge.
I was under Bugsy's camp for a good 3 years, solid. Went hard, ham. I was troubled. I was going through things. You know what I'm saying? And like it felt like the wolf pack. I went there. For some reason, we worked out. We were happy. We were hitting each other happy as hell. We got jokes, Bugsy. It gave me family, a pack. It felt like home.
It gave you a place of hope.
Yeah.
It gave you a place of hope. And that's what we do here at the Barbershop. That's what we do here. We inflict hope. We inflict hope while we're here. There's a whole lot of barbershops, and a lot of people tell me, Billy, there's like 3 barbershops that are within your vicinity. How's your competition? And I don't got none. I don't have competition. People do what they do, I do what I do. And through love and compassion, I felt that this is where it's at. This is what happens. You can get a whole lot of love in a whole lot of different barbershops. They're great at what they do, but we do a little bit something different.
I know.
We do something a little bit different.
You spoil your customers. You want water, you want soda, sit down. It looks beautiful inside here. And Billy, for my listeners and my viewers and anybody who's looking, where can they find your barbershop?
My barbershop is located at 151 Andover Street, Lowell, Mass. Our landmark is up next to the BP gas station. Come check us out. Come look us up. Come down, holler at the kid. You know what I mean?
Right.
We always here up and popping. I got a great team. If I sit here and tell you that I do it by myself, that'll be a damn lie. I got a great team. I created a team. I got an elite team. I got the Navy SEALs here.
Hey.
I got a network.
Yeah, you want to bring him in? I don't care. Bring him in.
You know, my mind, like, I would love for you to do a walkthrough, check it out, see what it is, bring some more information. Again, our location is at 151 Andover Street. We're located in Lowell, Mass. Come down and visit us. Come down, have a cup of coffee with me,
Resource Center is big too, man.
We have the center here. The center consists of helping those that might be displaced, might be homeless. We have care packages that we create for those that might need, shirts, a coat, or anything to that nature. We also provide a mentorship program. We also try to get people to and from detoxes. I have 2 clinicians that work here in the center, certified. Yo, what, you think this
Damn! Tú no juegas!
Oh, ¿tú crees que es un relajo?
Yo, official.
This is what it is. This is what it is. And this has been created through real testimony, through real dudes. I got 5-star generals that straight up living the dream, living in recovery. I'm not the only one that's living in recovery. There's a whole community of us that's out there. And I want to let people know that if I can, you can. And all you got to do is show up to life. And you're always welcome at Billy's Barbershop.